Welcome to the DeFi Standard. This is Patty XRP, and we got
Mickey B. Fresh.
nice. So we got some interesting news dropped just about an hour ago, Mickey. The white paper released for the Aethestes or Aethestes. I'll have to figure out how to say that NFT, real world NFT art project that's coming to the XRP Ledger. So we got some more details around what that's going to be. So what we'd like to do to start off is just kind of run through that with you guys, so you can get caught up to speed. There'll be a way to get the native asset if you have a Trustline, and we can even go over how you can do that in a couple different ways in this video.
So this is going to be this is going to be a little different of a claim than Flare Network. Like XRP on exchanges, not participating. So you're going to need to actually set up a trust line to the Aethestes to be able to, and you could do this right from a Zum wallet. This is why we've been saying
I already did
wallet.
It took me a minute.
Patty already did it. It will only take you a minute to do. It cost you 5 XRP to set up a trust line. So basically like $6 to set up a trust line. And you get that back. I mean, if you close the trust line, but what's nice is you don't have to deal with the whole claim period. You don't have to worry about where it is. You just set up a trust line. That is your claim. And this project is not going to launch till next year. So we have plenty of time. This isn't something that's going to be airdrop next month or 2 months. It's not till, I think the airdrop is June 2022, right?
Yes. And we'll go through the roadmap here, Mickey.
Okay.
So everybody can see that. Yeah. So directing y'all's attention on our screen now, Elysian, so ELS as the ticker, is going to be the first token for the art and NFT industry running on the XRP Ledger. They currently have a little voting competition, whatever, on Twitter going on right now for the logo of the token. I picked the one that looks like a 300 Spartan or like a Greek soldier to me, something like that. So you can do that on Twitter if you're interested. There's 4 different designs. But as far as getting into what does the ELS token do, so basically the first step would be everyone through their Elysian tokens will be able to select their favorite artist to drop on the Aethestes marketplace. So what I imagine is going to happen is they'll have potentially like real world artists that want to participate in this NFT platform, and then basically anybody that holds the ELS tokens will be able to choose their favorite artists off the bat. They're also going to have NFT staking and rewarding program. So everyone that will decide to buy and stake or sell through the Aethestes marketplace, their Aethestes NFTs will be rewarded with Elysian tokens. So basically, if you're participating there, you get an extra incentive with the ELS tokens. And then
how much is going to be airdropped to?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a tokenomics page, so I'll touch on that when we get there. It's a vast majority though. So additionally, they say they're going to have a lending program, which is interesting, Mickey, because you can't really do that on the XRP ledger right now. But we do know with hooks and side chains and things like that coming up, some of this more smart contract like functionality will be available on the XRP ledger. So that's cool seeing this project is already looking to utilize that. So they say that anyone that has one of their NFTs can use it as collateral for receiving a loan in the ELS token. Additionally, they have a staking program where anybody that stakes their ELS tokens on their marketplace will be rewarded with Athena tokens. They don't really touch much on how that's going to work, but I assume they're going to put a lot more documentation out. This is kind of like a really high level overview of what they're doing. So getting into the tokenomics, Mickey, there'll be 1 billion ELS issued. 510 million are going to go to people that set up the XRP Ledger trust line with their address.
That's a lot.
That is,
that's a lot.
51%.
That's a lot right there.
Yeah.
So now, can you set up a trust line from, like, say, a nano ledger?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. But you're not going to be able to do this on exchanges, everybody. So know that there's going to be no like participating exchanges and that. You're going to have to manually set up the trust line. It's very easy with Zum. You have to, I think, use the XRP toolkit with Ledger, right?
Yes, you have to use the XRP toolkit. So we'll run through that so everybody can get an idea of where to go. Yeah, and
that's a lot of tokens to be distributing out to those.
51%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. So.
And then they're also going to have 100 million going to their partner adoption program, with 200 million for the NFT staking and reward program once their marketplace is live. and then 190 million for future adoptions. So I'm just guessing changes to the platform or maybe new artists and stuff like that as incentives. So how you claim it, you can just set up a trust line on an XRP Ledger like wallet application. The reason you can't do it through an exchange is because you don't actually own the account. So that's something to take to
Now,
know.
when
Yeah,
is the snapshot of your actual XRP?
it's now through like the next 6 months. I'll get the
So
ending
how
date.
do
They're gonna have it here. So
so is it when I set up the trust line right now? Is it
mm,
just the XRP that's relevant in that account, right? Now, how does that work?
no, no, I don't think they're not doing it on an XRP token amount. It's just going to be like, let's say 1 million people do a
Oh,
trust line, then they'll just distribute it like evenly across all of them. That's how my
what if you
understanding of
set
it
up
is.
multiple XRP accounts? Hmm,
I mean,
interesting.
I guess you can. Yeah.
Hmm.
They don't really say, but so I mean, you have a lot of time to do this. You could wait if you wanted to. So here's the roadmap here. So basically, from today until February 15th of 2022, that's the claiming period. Additionally, they'll have their airdrop somewhere in between the middle of April to the middle of June. And then the listing of the token will go live in Q2 or Q3 of next year, which that makes sense. Like if they need, they're using NFTs and possibly some DeFi components on the XRP ledger. Both those things still need to be built out. So this is a little farther off, but I do like that
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna allow you to borrow against NFTs that you own or participate in staking. That'll give a little more value to the ecosystem on top of what it's already doing with like real world NFTs. So like they'll be the curator of the artwork and stuff like that. I don't know if in the future they would have plans for people that actually want to um, take control of the art on their own. If you could do that, we'll have to see. But they will have like, let's say they had a fractionalized NFT for a piece of art. It's like $1 million, and they split it up into 10 parts of 100K each. They would hold it for that group of people because it'd be different people that own part of that asset and would just have price exposure to
Mm-hmm.
the art. So like that's the thing. Like people that make a lot of money, art is one area where they tend to try and hide from inflation or just certain things like that. You can use it as part of like your whole portfolio.
So I just want to touch on one thing here quick. So if anyone's not aware, Ripple has put out, David Schwartz, a big proposal and amendment for NFTs. So this goes beyond the initial proposal by, we'd say, Win, which is just a basic NFT. This new proposal is going to add 3 new objects to Ledger to create this whole NFT on Ledger marketplace. So just to be able to create what they're doing, Elysian here, this amendment probably will have to be passed. And it's likely it will. And also it looks like hooks, I think, would be involved with this, right? If there's lending and borrowing with DeFi.
Yeah, unless they go the sidechain route. So one of those
Mm-hmm.
two, I
And that
imagine.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
either one. So these are 3 amendments that I think we should all be really paying attention because they're probably going to have the biggest impact, I think, on the XRP ledger in the history of the XRP ledger. These 3 upcoming amendments are
yeah,
going to be huge,
they're a pretty big
in the next
deal.
6 months. They are a big deal. I mean, it's we're going to cover more and more, but I really think it's going to change the whole dynamic of the XRP ledger, adding a whole NFT like components and all these new objects to the ledger. You're adding smart contract capabilities with hooks and with the WebAssembly, and then you added federated sidechains. I mean, those are 3 huge components that's going to tap into the already XRP Ledger DEX. So is that where the marketplace is going to be
I mean,
for the NFTs?
they're not getting that in depth with this. Like
Okay.
it's I mean, if this was a DeFi project, I'd be like it's more of a light paper than a white
Okay.
paper. Yeah, it looks
Okay.
more like that. So, I mean, we got like 8, 9 months until this project's out, so I imagine like a lot more information will come out between now and then. It is nice to know like what the tokenomics will be as far as like supply
Yeah.
distribution and stuff like that and what you can use the token for. So,
That's a lot of tokens to distribute out, not based on your holdings. So based on the amount of accounts it would be distributed up upon. I mean, I guess we'll wait for more details on that, but that is an interesting and it's
Yeah,
a
maybe
different.
they do that. It seemed like so I remember when they announced this project, there was like some tweets back and forth between people in the community with them, and they were saying it would be based like XRPL account based rather than like holdings
Hmm.
based. So
I wonder if there'll be a KYC AML then when you
there
go to do
probably
your
will be.
account. That's what
Yeah,
I think will limit you from going to have multiple accounts. Or else people are going to create like 20 different accounts. I mean, you do lose 20 XRP every time you do that, but the KYC AML would kind of eliminate that because you can't have your name in two places. So
absolutely. I imagine they would
makes
do
sense.
KYC AML with like real
Hmm.
world art where there's a central entity that's like curating it and taking care
Hmm.
of it and all that, keeping it
Hmm.
secure. So yeah, that's
Exactly. And
probably how they
also,
solve it.
Zum is going to have KYC AML too. So you'll be able to do that right from your Zum wallet app. So just keep that in mind. You can set up the trust line. And then when you do eventually set up a pay string and then a KYC AML with your digital identity, this will all be linked in. That's why I think the Zum is perfect for things like this because it's easy to make a trust line. It's easy to do things. And you're going to have your identity and your pay string right linked into that Zum wallet. And we're not sponsored by Zum or anything like that. I just like it because I think it takes advantage of the XRP ledger and its full functionality, which is the trust lines here. This is a perfect way to do an airdrop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for supporting stuff that wants to tap into like the data functionality of the XRP ledger. So like, Zum, GateHub, XRP Toolkit, those are all kind of different things that allow you to, trade on the DEX, utilize trust lines, and try some of this different stuff out. That's really just like core components of the ledger. But Mickey, I think right now I can go ahead and turn it over to just showing a couple examples on how to do this. So if you have a Zum wallet, you can go to this website. It's zum.community. And up here, they have this tab that says sign in with Zum. You can click on that and then you just scan the QR code with your phone and go to your app, your Zum app, and you kind of just sign logging into your account via this interface. And then they have all these things you can do here. There's one called Trust Set, so trust lines. And all you would do is take I don't have the address with me, but you just from their tweet that they posted, and I retweeted this on my Twitter if you need to find it that way, or they put it in the white paper as well. You just copy that address in there, and then there'll be like a little drop down thing to get like the token currency code, and you just put a limit. So I mean, you can put whatever you want. Like if you only put like one, then it would limit the amount of tokens you could have from there. So if you make it a really big number, you don't have to worry about it. And the currency code would just be ELS. And then you would select this send trust set to Zum, and it would send you a notification on your phone if you're in the Zum wallet app, and you can just sign for that and say, okay, I'm going to reserve 5 XRP to set up this trust line, and that's XRP, like Mickey said, that you can get back in the future. Additionally, the other way to do this, and I don't know if all wallets that are out there will allow you to do this stuff, but XRP Toolkit has a little more options, and you can go to, oh, here's view account. I don't want to do that. I need to get out of my account real quick. One sec, Mickey. If you want to start talking about something, I need to figure
All
this
right.
out.
Well,
Yeah.
I just think, like if you had a nano ledger and you wanted to do it the way Patty's going to show right now, you could do it that way, or anyone could just open a Zum wallet. It doesn't cost any money. It's just 20 XRP, and you create an account, and then you do the process that he just showed there in the Zum wallet through Zum.community, which is a nice website. And they do have a lot of, trust lines there that you can set up. There's another token called ICG, I believe, that's out right now from Treasure Hunt that you could get an airdrop of tokens from there too. So these things we're going to see more and more on the XRP ledger. And I think with this, and this is the first NFT project on the XRP ledger, I think we're going to see a boatload more. So we have Flare now coming out with NFT projects with the New World 888. We got Gala Games. We got the Metaverse over there. We got Sparkles NFT. And then you have Ripple talking about NFTs. We got this Elysium project. So NFTs are, I think, here to stay. Like David Schwartz said, where do they exactly go? I mean, art and marketplace, this seems to be like the first best use case for now. And allowing to tap into DeFi, I think, is going to be interesting. So using that artwork, putting it up as collateral, which is kind of tokenization, right? I mean, there is a
Yeah, no, I mean it
overlap
definitely
here.
is. They're basically
Where
they're tokenizing these real world art
yeah,
pieces into NFTs. Yeah.
yeah, and then we have this utility token that goes along with it. So once again, 99% of tokens are not going away. They're going to continue to be more and more tokens. And I'm just going to keep saying this over and over again because I still hear it. It's mind-boggling to me. It's like, how can we say 99% of tokens are going to go away when we keep seeing more and more tokens keep coming out and airdrop to us? It's the opposite trend is taking place. So I think we just need to be aware of that. And these are on a public blockchain. So nobody's going to be able to stop this. I mean, it does look like, though, Patty, the XRP Ledger is going to be a little more regulated in the sense that these apps, like the Elysion app itself, will have KYC. So you'll get on the endpoints, you will get that regulatory compliance, but the actual ledger itself won't have any regulations built into it. It will be the endpoints where you enter and exit from.
Yeah. So Mickey, I got this up on XRP Toolkit just to show people another way. So when you go to their website, you can click Connect Wallet, and it will let you select like some different wallet types. Like Ledger Nano is one of them. You could do Zum on here. I think GateHub. You can do on GateHub's like actual website. You can set this up. But basically, you come here. It says custom edit. So from account, go to assets, and then come down here. It'll say add asset. It's not listed yet, so go to custom edit, and then you'll just put in the address like I was talking about on zum.community. Put in the currency code ELS. The limit's already set, and then you just go through the rest of the prompts, and that's how you do it through the XRP toolkit. So really easy. Also, we have some tutorial videos on setting up trust lines with GateHub and Zum in our tutorials playlist if you guys want to check that one out as well. But I think this should mostly cover everybody on that. So
yeah,
cool.
So anyone who's like self-custodying in a hardware wallet, like Ledger, for example, now will this work with other self-custody wallets? Like if say somebody had Atomic, or they had Exodus, or they had a SafePal or LEPal, how would you do it from those? Or would you have to pretty much move to one of these ones that are supporting kind of?
You would probably need to set up a supporting one. So yeah.
That lets you do trust lines, basically. So the XRP toolkit will use some of those hardware wallets like Ledger Nano. But if you have another one, you might not be able to unless you could set up a trust line. So this is why I think the Zum, if we're all holding XRP and we're here for the long haul and you plan on using the XRP Ledger, you might as well have the best wallet for the Ledger. And the Nano Ledger is not the best wallet for the actual Ledger itself. You would have to go through that toolkit, which is possible. But if you want the easiest functionality, I still think the Zum is the best for the XRP Ledger if you plan on using it. So we have this concept of a couple of years ago where it was like, get your keys off the exchanges. We're just going to cold storage, store this stuff. But now we're moving into a point where like, we're going to use this stuff. This isn't just we're holding it. We're now using these assets, using these blockchain networks, and especially the XRP Ledger. So I would want to have the best tools to be able to utilize those functionalities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I've been playing around a lot with using the XRP toolkit in like GateHub and Zum for trading. It's pretty nice. Like, I mean, I have limit orders and stuff at certain price points on the DEX where I'd want to sell XRP, which is like if it wicks up there, that just helps me avoid like an exchange crash or something when I need to buy or sell. So like maybe, I don't know ultimately if the liquidity will be there. Like let's say a huge price spike happens and then or like a big crash. I don't know how great the liquidity moves, but I also know that like if that happens, Coinbase is going to go down or like Uphold or whatever I'm using at this time.
No, that's true. One thing is the XRP Ledger DEX has never went down in 8 years. How many times has Coinbase went down in the last 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
So there is that component to it. There you could also set up a Bitstamp account, which will give you the fiat on ramp and off ramp to the XRP Ledger if you wanted that. GateHub has it too. I'm just not sure if it's available in every state or every country. But Bitstamp is available in all 50 states in the US to do that. So
nice.
I think we're going to see more and more utility of these apps with the XRP Ledger DEX. David Schwartz has said it. Even Ripple's building projects around the XRP Ledger DEX. It's the first blockchain to have a built-in DEX on layer 1, not a layer 2 DEX like Uniswap or something like that, but right in or adapt ecosystem. Even FlareX is in adapt. It's not on layer 1 Flare network. XRP Ledger has the DEX built right into the protocol. It has the auto bridging capabilities. It has the ability to issue assets on it. So we're going to see more and more adoption, I think, of the XRP Ledger DEX. And it's something, when I first got into this in early 2018, you didn't really look at that side. It was more like RippleNet and, XRapid then, which is now ODL. But they're kind of pivoting back. After the FinCEN fine, they had to back away from the XRP Ledger. And now we're seeing RippleX development. Example, I believe XRP Ledger had the most GitHub activity of the whole crypto space. So that's showing, I think that comes from their grant program they're doing right now. And with the Apex coming up, which is like the swell for developers. So that could be adding to all that development on the XRP Ledger. But like we were saying earlier, these 3 amendments that are coming out, I think are going to have the most profound impact on the XRP Ledger adoption, utility, and just overall building by developers. It's the Hooks Amendment, then you got the Federated Sidechains Amendment, and then you have the NFTs Amendment, which is going to add 3 new objects to the XRP Ledger. And I believe there's 21 objects on there now. I think I could be wrong on that. I think it's 21 though, but 21 and 27. So they're adding 3 more. So that's good that you're seeing development on the XRP Ledger, and it's bigger than I think anything we've seen to date. They've been tweaking the ledger for a while now, making it faster, more efficient, but now we're actually seeing, infrastructure development on the ledger that's going to add whole new capabilities. Hooks alone will add a whole new DeFi ecosystem, and those federated sidechains. I look at, I don't know, the comparison to parachains on Polkadot is very similar.
Yep. Mickey, so I'm getting a lot of buffering on my end. So we can keep pushing through and talk about the Flare Finance stuff we were going to talk about, or maybe we can do that in a separate video. I don't know what you think.
I'm on Zoom on your end. Let's see. Let's keep going.
All right. Yeah. People. Yeah. So, yeah. Just FYI, if you can hear this, it's not. It's every like 10 or really 15 seconds, I'd say. So. But basically what we can do,
another few minutes.
We can push through and people will be able to watch the replay for the rest of this. And like it should go through fine in the replay. It's just like for whatever reason, my connection with OBS and whatever. I almost have enough stuff to get my new laptop up with the OBS, but still working on that. Yeah. So,
all right. So Flare Finance had an AMA this past Monday. And they dropped some breadcrumbs about some partnerships that they have. So they have a partnership with Wintermute, who is one of the biggest market makers in all the crypto space. They've done, since 2020, $780 billion in trading. That's a massive amount of trading. So they're in the centralized exchange place. They're in the DeFi markets. So they're going to be a market maker, basically, on a lot of those liquidity pools in Flare Finance. So I think that's a big deal. They're also an investor in Flare Networks Limited, the team. They're also an investor in, I believe, Algorand 2.
Credo.
And that Credo Project 2, they're an investor in, which is a layer 2 multi-party computation blockchain. So they're definitely involved in this space with Flare, and they'll probably be an agent or involved in that agent system, but now they're going to be part of those liquidity pools. So now we'll have deeper liquidity in there, and also we'll have a balancing out of the pool. So instead of there being major slippage, so say everyone's going from YUSD to Spark, and now it unbalances the pool, the market maker's there to balance that pool back out. So they earn through the arbitrage. Where retail, they'll be connecting the centralized exchanges to the on-chain liquidity pools. And that will balance out the liquidity there. And I think that's important moving forward here.
Absolutely. And they're like massive. They went from 2 billion at the beginning of 2020 in market making to what you were saying, almost 800 billion now to date. That's dollars worth of trades they participated in. They're on all the biggest exchanges: Binance, Kraken, Huobi, Coinbase. They're on Uniswap and DYDX as well for like some dexes. So they're pretty big firm at this point and have a lot of partners and have done a lot of market making in the industry. So this is something that'll help with the liquidity of like the Flare Finance tokens and their liquidity pools from the outset. And then additionally, Mickey, I wanted to bring up, they have this blog that's on their website from a couple years ago, but I just found it interesting as far as like you may be thinking like, why do people need a market maker? So here's some of the reasons basically. Token issuers, so these are projects, they face a bottleneck when trying to secure an exchange listing. Top crypto exchanges like Binance could easily charge 7-digit numbers for a listing. Even with cheaper ones, you still have to pay substantial 6-digit amounts. As this article is from 2019, I imagine those numbers have only gone up. Additionally, crypto exchanges face significant setup costs to list a new token due to their due diligence, setting up cold storage, all that infrastructure and stuff. Therefore, they are not thrilled with the prospect of a new listing if they are not sure about its potential liquidity. Maybe hence why, Songbird isn't going to be listed a lot, because I'd say there's a lot of questions around like how much volume that asset will have out the get go. Additionally, they say exchanges simply don't want another ghost town token on their platform with hardly any trading going on and a bunch of disgruntled investors trying to get rid of whatever tokens they have left. So you can see from projects and exchanges why they would want that. And then investors, this is something I've pointed to with the Spark IOUs on BitTrue, that the spread's really wide. But basically, investors who are market takers, so people like, if you put in an order to buy XRP, you're a market taker. So they see lack of liquidity as a big showstopper as well. To start with, widespreads really limit the number of strategies they can adopt. 5% widespread means they will have to pay 2.5% to initiate the trade and another 2.5% to close it. Secondly, illiquid markets are much easier to disrupt. Even a relatively small seller can wreak havoc, potentially triggering other investors' stop loss orders, resulting in a panic sell. You might think a buyer won't create a similar problem, but think twice. A sudden rally in an illiquid token could trigger a bunch of FOMO investors to join, resulting in an unsustainable rally and pump and dump accusations in the end. And so this is like let's say you got an asset that, let's say the price is $1, and the ask price is 95, or sorry, the bid price is 95 cents and the ask price is $1.05. That's like a massive spread that they're talking about here. So like if somebody puts in one market order, that bumps the price up 5 cents even if they only bought one token. So that's why like having tighter spreads are better, because it's generally like a more fair representation of what the market thinks about the price. When there's not enough liquidity and stuff like that, the price jumps around a lot and makes it super volatile, and people end up not wanting to be in that asset. I mean, sometimes it could work to the advantage if you get in before a pump and then get out before it dumps. But yeah, I mean, I think there's good reasons to want this, and it should be help with getting like YFLR, YFIN, Spark listed on as many exchanges as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we see these exchanges, it's not them making liquidity. Like, for example, Bitso by law can't make liquidity for their own assets that are trading on it. It's the market makers that are making the market. Same on RippleNet's ODL. It's not Bitso or Bitstamp making markets. It's these market makers. They do use the crypto exchanges wallets. So sometimes when you see those large transactions or big amounts being moved, you might think they're whales. I think there is some confusion in the space that we confuse whales with market makers. I think the market makers are a lot of the whales. What do you think, Patty?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I was
Do you think
responding to
that the
somebody.
whales are the market makers? A lot of them are. Wintermute probably has wallets at every single exchange and probably multiple wallets, and they're shifting around assets all the time. And for example, you could think those, you see, oh, Binance sent this much XRP to Coinbase, but who's really behind that transaction? Is it Binance themselves and Coinbase receiving it? No, it's usually one entity from Binance could be sending to the same entity over at Coinbase. But we just see it as those exchange wallets using it on XRP Ledger or on Bitcoin or on Ethereum. You don't really know. And that's why they kind of mask those transactions using the exchange's custodial wallets. It's not the exchange actually moving it. Binance themselves is not moving it. You use it. Like if you took off Binance and sent to Coinbase, you would show that it went through the Binance custodial wallet, then to Coinbase's custodial wallet. But you did that transaction and sent it to yourself. So, but it would look like and show up on the XRP ledger like Binance did it and sent it to Coinbase. So that same concept could be happening with these market makers. They're shifting all around from exchanges. And now one thing here that's interesting too, Patty, is they're going to be able to tap into the DeFi world. And we're able to kind of compete with the winter mutes because retail now can participate as a market maker. So we could earn fees by being liquidity providers in these automated market makers. I think winter mute's more going to be in for the arbitrage. So that's really the opportunity for them to capture their profits.
Yeah, and I
But at
mean,
the same time, go ahead.
yeah, I'll add to it. Like, you don't want to be in a liquidity pool that like has very low liquidity. Sure, you could be making a lot, but I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. You could want to be in there, but it's a much higher risk. Generally, like when these liquidity pools have more assets, whenever somebody removes assets from the pool, then there's not as big of effect on the price in the kind of the quantity shift of the assets in that pool due to rebalancing in the way that these uh, liquidity pools work with the AMM underpinning. So like it's good if they will be in some of these. Like I want to be competing against them because I know it's going to be a liquid market and my assets aren't going to like suffer as extreme and permanent loss swings possibly, because you could see a situation where if there's like massive slippage and then that just doesn't recover, well you're kind of like SOL. So like the more liquid a liquidity pool, like it's removing some of the risk of you getting like stuck in a really bad situation. So to me,
And it
it's good
also,
if they're like in there and participating.
yeah, it also helps the market takers. Those are swapping between the assets have less slippage. So if they're moving a big order, say they're moving $1 million, if there's deep liquidity in there, there won't be as much slippage for the swap. So there's two sides to liquidity pools. There's the liquidity provider side, and then the people swapping as the market takers. So you have market makers, market takers. Those are the two sides. And the third side is the arbitrage. So that's a component to all this too.
Yeah.
No, very interesting with the market makers. We don't talk about that enough, I think, in the space. It all just is assumed that it's whales and exchanges when there's a whole dynamic. We got prime brokers, we got market makers, we got, OTC desks. They do move the market. OTC trades absolutely move the market just as much as exchanges. It's still supply and demand is what it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the other announcements they had, Mickey, was that Hex Trust will be their official custodian for like reserves and stuff like that. So I don't know if you want to touch on that at all or have anything to add.
Yeah, so this is an interesting concept. So they're going to use Hex Trust to hold like the Flare Foundation's assets, the team's assets, I think the community's assets, which is like the treasury of Flare Finance. And they're also going to use Hex Trust for the Flare wrap component. So instead of having to trust, like the F asset system is fully trustless. That's in its design. But the Flare wrap between Flare Finance, they're going to use Hex Trust as kind of the custodian on the Ethereum blockchain to wrap assets like Ethereum and others, and then issue those on Flare Finance. So you'll have a regulated custodian custodying them on the Ethereum side, and even like Casino Coin, for example. To issue that on Flare, you're going to need somebody to custody it on the XRP Ledger side and then issue it on Flare, since it's not an F asset. So Hex Trust is going to play that role. So that inspires a little more confidence. At the same time, you could say, well, that adds a little centralization to it. And it does for the wrapping of the assets. But at the same time, you won't have to worry about, like the Poly network's hack between network, because there's a regulated custodian on the other side of wrapping those assets. So if you wrap something like Ethereum, or you wrapped like Pack Protocol, or any other asset, or even Casino Coin, for example, that the issuer is actually a regulated custodian. So I think that's a good thing. And I don't think people are going to be too upset over having a regulated entity as a custodian versus being like a fully decentralized protocol just for Flare wrap. It just kind of makes it easier. We have the F assets as a trustless protocol, which is using regulated custodians on top of that as an extra security layer.
Yeah, I'm curious. I still want to hear more about how that works, just because like they're still having like layers across the bridge and smart contracts and stuff. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious like what that does even more so additionally for them. But yeah,
I'm sure they'll put out more information on that. So I don't want to say it's like centralized, because that's not what it really is. It's just that there'll be a regulated custodian on the other side. How it's issued through that Flare wrap protocol, is to be determined.
Absolutely. And so I guess the other part, if this kind of Chi-Town XRP just dropped a question on like how do you control slippage? Does it depend on anything like how much you purchase? And I'd say yes to all your
There's a
questions.
ratio. Can't you control it when you swap? You could set a slippage percentage
Yeah,
of how much
exactly.
you want to let
So
slip.
yes, and there'll be ways to do that on Flare X. They'll also have like a slippage calculation, which allows you to see like, okay, this is what I should get, like this is what my price should be when I swap, but this is possibly where it could go to just worst case scenario. So there'll be like slippage limits and stuff that you can see. If like the bad case scenario is really close to what you're probably going to get, then you should be good to go. Like there's not going to be much slippage. And so for that, they kind of so Flare Finance, for anybody that doesn't know, like next Monday they'll do another one, I believe, where they're doing like little community Discord events, where like Crypto Frenchie and a couple of the other devs came in, and guys working on the project. They gave us a screen sharing run through of what the platform looks like for Flare X. And I mean, it looks pretty slick. It looks nice. They have a lot of metrics that they're going to be providing. You'll be able to have like a dashboard that shows you where all your assets are and like what are all your asset holdings. Additionally, you can see like impermanent loss that's been occurred or how your stake of the asset composition in the liquidity pool has changed over time, so you can track that kind of stuff. Um, let's see, what else did they say? They'll have a whole trading
It
chart on
also,
Flare
yeah,
X with
the
like
chart.
candlesticks and line charts. So yeah, I mean, it looks like they have a lot of things that are going to help, like managing whatever you're doing with DeFi there, and the
So they
platform looks
definitely,
nice.
yeah, they definitely upgraded a lot of the functionality from the first private beta that you did, or even that second one. It's been upgraded dramatically. And even the UI interface that we saw isn't the fully complete one. So they have a whole team working on just the interfaces, and they have a whole team working on the back end. So what we saw looked pretty nice to me, but they're going to even make that even nicer. The fact that you could see your whole portfolio on there of your Flare assets without having to go back to like your wallet to see them, I thought was a cool feature, and to see your history and like where your assets are on the, on the actual DApp. Since there's 6 different protocols, there's going to be different tabs. There'll be Flare X, Flare Loans, Flare Farm, and to know where everything is, I think is important. And they're really focusing on the user functionality, which I think is a big thing, especially for XRP community who's not super familiar with DeFi. Having something that's going to be easy to use, and I think they have those little things where you take like the mouse and you go over the thing and it will bring up a little description of it.
Yeah,
I think they added
tooltips.
those
Yeah, they have
tooltips.
those.
Yeah, those are nice too.
Yep, just little pop-ups that'll tell you what something means. There's a lot of metrics on there. They also said they're working on two. So they created Flare Scan for anybody that's used that. That's like the block explorer for the Flare network. They're also going to have something called Flare Index, where they're going to be indexing all the transactions and data from the Flare network, Flare Finance, different dApps and stuff that. I think it should be publicly available data. I can't imagine it's not, that you could call
Mm-hmm.
on via an